Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us here at Railbookers this evening for another one of our special online presentations. Today, looking at all things Swiss. It's great to have so many of you with me today, so thanks for taking the time out of your day to join me. My name is Anna Davis. I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager here for the UK team, and I'll be your host for the next half an hour or so as we delve into some of our most popular Swiss holidays. So we will get underway. First thing I wanted to share this evening was our most recent promotion. This launched yesterday, so brand new for us at Railbookers, and this is called Pick Your Perk. So we're offering 300, 400 and 500 pounds in credit for you to upgrade your holiday in any number of ways, whether that's adding first class rail, upgrading your hotel to a higher rated property, upgrading the room type in that hotel, perhaps adding extra nights and extending your stay, or adding in additional activities, excursions and sightseeing. So lots of ways in which you can enhance your holiday and make it even more special, perhaps if you're making up for a missed special occasion last year, for example. Lots more information on that coming out in our newsletters and on our website over the coming weeks as well. Now, I know a number of you attend these presentations from time to time. I know also that we have some new customers with us this evening. So just wanted to spend a couple of minutes right at the beginning just to touch on a few points about Railbookers more generally, and just wanted to mention a few things that are on the screen here. First of all is that we can book up to 2 years in advance. So right now we're able to book into 2023, which has perhaps never been more important than it is right now. Also that we can book really any destination for any date for any length of time. So we do offer a lot of flexibility with our holidays because they are independent and tailor-made. They're not escorted, they're not a group tour, so you can very much customize the trip to exactly what you're looking to do. So nothing is fixed or set in stone with a Railbookers itinerary. The duration, the departure date, all can be changed, and if the train goes there, then so do we. Last thing I'd mention is that we've been creating these independent tailor-made holidays for a little over 17 years now. So our team really do have a lot of expertise and are very well positioned to offer lots of advice, top tips, and recommendations to make sure you do have the very best holiday. We do also have our peace of mind or maximum flexibility guarantee still in place for all existing and new bookings made up to the end of this month, and that allows you to change or postpone your holiday up to just 5 days prior to departure without incurring any change or cancellation fees, and you can then rebook onto a different holiday or the same holiday for any date in the following 24 months. So it has provided a lot of peace of mind to customers over the last 12 months, and if you have any questions or you'd like any more information on that, please do just give us a call on the number that you see there on the screen. That's 0203 780 2222. Now, I mentioned that our holidays are independent, they're not escorted, but that doesn't mean that when you travel you are entirely alone. So should you need assistance whilst you're away, you do benefit from a 24-hour support from our offices around the world. We have offices in California, in Massachusetts, in Toronto, Canada, here in the UK and in Australia as well. So there's always somebody awake across the Railbookers offices should you need our assistance whilst you're away, and that out of hours number is on the travel documentation that you receive approximately 2 weeks before departure. Now lastly, just to touch on the rail companies themselves, and we've been working with the rail companies, some of which are on the screen here, for a long time now to access their timetable and fare information well in advance of public opening, so that we can pop together very much a one-stop shop holiday inclusive of the rail tickets, but also the hotel accommodation, excursions, sightseeing, transfers, ferries, flights as well. Really a one-stop shop for everything related to your holiday by rail. And lastly but not leastly, on the subject of the rail companies, just wanted to mention a number of ways in which the rail companies have maintained a safe environment really over the last 12 months. Of course, from a leisure travel point of view, we haven't been able to travel very much, but the railways have continued to operate as an essential service, so that as leisure travel begins to reopen, we know that the trains are already very well experienced and well versed in handling customer traffic already, and have that experience ready to go. So just a number of things in which the rail operators are doing. These are broad strokes across a number of the carriers. They are requiring facial coverings in stations and on trains. They have stopped the sale of food and drink on board most of the European trains, at least, to really encourage customers to stay in their seats for as much of the journey as possible. Seating configuration and the number of seats that are sold per departure has been limited in a number of cases, so that there is spacing on the train to allow for social distancing. And they have increased the cleaning regimes as well. That's both during the journey itself in the common areas and also deep cleans at the end of service. And lastly but not leastly, what we have seen is an increase in contactless ticket control, and by that we mean really a move away from physical tickets and having to pass those between train staff and customers, and more scanning of tickets from a slight distance, again for space and social distancing requirements. So the last thing on that I would mention is that prior to any departure with Railbookers, we do have a dedicated guest relations team, and they can talk you through any specific requirements or restrictions that may be in place with the specific train companies that you're travelling with. So without further ado, let's move on into all things Switzerland. And I'm really pleased to be able to share with you some fantastic trips this evening through Switzerland and in Switzerland, some of our most popular holidays. It's a country I've been very fortunate enough to visit a number of times myself by rail at different times of the year, February, May, June, October, and really hard to think of a country that is better placed for exploring by rail. We're going to be touching on a lot of the very scenic trains during our time today, but also worth mentioning that any journey really in Switzerland by rail, on the national network even, on the SBB trains themselves, are spectacular just by the nature of the countryside and landscapes that you're travelling through. So we'll start with the classic Glacier and Bernina Express trip here, a 5-day itinerary starting from £1,399. Now, as you'll see from the map here, this is based on a rail journey out, rail around Switzerland, and a flight back. Just a couple of things I would mention. Certainly pre-COVID, for our European departures and European trips, the most popular way to do it would be to take the train out, to rail around the destination, and to fly back to any UK airport at the end of the trip. We can do also a return trip by rail and do the whole journey by train. We can also do a return trip by air with the rail in the destination as well. So lots of flexibility there. The other thing to mention is that we can also book UK rail for you as well. So if you'd like us to add on the UK tickets from your local UK station to reach London, to then travel on Eurostar in this case, then we can also add that in to your holiday. So the itinerary here for Classic Glacier and Bernina is the Eurostar to Paris. It's a transfer across Paris to the Gare de Lyon to then travel on the high-speed TGV Lyria service down to Basel, then connecting in Basel on to Interlaken, and your first 2-night stay is in Interlaken, beautifully positioned, as the name suggests, between two lakes, Lake Thun and Lake Brienz. And from there, you also have a day trip on the Jungfrau Bahn, or the Jungfrau Yacht Railway, taking you to the highest European railway station, and on a clear day, fabulous views from up there over the Vosges Mountains in France, the Black Forest Mountains in Germany. Then after 2 nights in Interlaken, you'll travel down to Brig. That part of the journey itself is truly beautiful because you travel over the Lutschberg mountain to reach Brig. So lots of great scenery en route to pick up the Glacier Express in Brig to travel to Chur. Now, the Glacier Express, often nicknamed the slowest express train in the world, maximum speed of about 24 miles an hour. You'll travel to Chur, Switzerland's oldest town, there. 2 nights stay there, during which time you have a day trip on the Bernina Express from St Moritz down to Tirano and back again. And then after your stay in Chur has finished, you'll travel back to Basel for either the return flight back to the UK or indeed that return by rail. Now, the Glacier Express Here, as I mentioned, nicknamed the slowest express train in the world. As you'll see from the images here, huge panoramic windows that give every customer a fantastic view as they travel. And one of the great things really about traveling by train in Switzerland, and it's true of all of the scenic journeys that we'll talk about today, is the variety of scenery. So different altitudes with different landscapes, whether that's the mountain peaks on the tops of the glacier, round the lakes, the deep gorges, the deep valleys, the streams, the rivers, such variety that you see from the comfort of your seat as you travel. And it's often a view that you just don't get traveling any other way. You could also consider, if you're looking to celebrate perhaps a special occasion, to upgrade to excellence class on the Glacier Express, just one way in which you could use the Pick Your Perk promotion to enhance your holiday a little bit further. It's a great way to celebrate a special occasion, as I say, and we'll be touching on excellence class in a few slides' time. Also thought it would be useful just to show you one of our featured hotels so that you have an idea of the sort of accommodation that we include in a Railbookers trip. This is our featured hotel, the Krebs Hotel in Interlaken. Very traditional Swiss hotel, a 4-star property. It's been welcoming guests for more than 145 years. It's in a beautiful location in the heart of Interlaken with the beautiful mountain scenery around and a really well-placed hotel to explore the wider area. So this, as I say, is the Hotel Krebs in Interlaken. Now, the next holiday I wanted to mention is our Scenic Switzerland trip. This is a 9-day holiday with a starting price of £2,149. And it's a longer itinerary. It's a real circular tour of all of the real rail highlights of Switzerland. So let me talk you through the itinerary here. This is based on flights in and out of Zurich to start and end the trip. Could be equally done by rail. It's a really easy rail journey from the UK to Paris. Again, Paris to Zurich, this time on a high-speed TGV Lyria services, a direct train to have you start there. And the first stop on this itinerary is down to St Moritz. So you'll have a 2-night stay in St Moritz, during which time you do the day trip on the Bernina Express, this time your first scenic journey on this holiday. Then you'll embark on the Glacier Express from St Moritz through to Zermatt. So you do the full length of the Glacier Express on this holiday. It's about an 8-hour journey, so an all-day affair, but a great way to spend the day. This takes you to Zermatt, and you'll be there for a 2-night stay. And whilst you're there, we include a day trip on the Gorna Cog Railway, which I'll talk about shortly. You'll then move around to Montreux and have a 1-night stay in the stunning lakeside location of Montreux, a beautiful place, and often somewhere that our customers extend for a few further nights so that they have enough time to explore the wider area. The Chillon Castle, for example, well worth a visit whilst you're in the area. And from Montreux, you'll travel then on the GoldenPass Line, another scenic route, and sometimes one that is slightly overlooked by some of its siblings, I would say, in Switzerland, because it doesn't necessarily contain so many peaks as the Glacier in Bernina, but stunning in its own right, and lots of the sort of wider meadows down to the lakes. Really beautiful journey as well. And you'll travel on the Golden Pass through to Lucerne for a 3-night stay in Lucerne, and you'll then have, whilst you're there, 2-day trips to Mount Pilatus and the Jungfrau Joch. So in terms of railway views, doesn't really come much better than this. This is the Bernina Express here, and there's a reason why the route is UNESCO World Heritage protected. You can see, hopefully, that from that magnificent shot at the Olberg Pass at the top of the Bernina Pass at 2,253 meters above sea level. A few rail facts for you because they're always fun. On the Bernina Express, you will travel through 55 tunnels, over 196 bridges, and reach a gradient of up to 70% at times. So a truly stunning way to travel. And of course, it will also travel over the famous Landwasser Viaduct, which is one of the most photographed, I think, in all rail imagery, and certainly one to have your cameras out at the ready. The Gorna, as I mentioned, is a day trip that you'll do from Zermatt. The Gorna Cog Railway, it climbs more than 10,000 feet in just 33 minutes. And from the top on a clear day, you can see up to 29 of the mountain peaks, including the Matterhorn, and it's the highest cogwheel railway in Europe. And whilst you're in Lucerne, perhaps a good opportunity to consider upgrading your hotel. And the Schweitzerhof in Lucerne would be our top recommendation for that. It's a beautiful 5-star hotel situated right on the shores of Lake Lucerne, just a stone's throw away from the city centre itself. It's been managed by the Hauser family for over 150 years and has quite the impressive previous guest list, including many a king, emperor, writers, politicians, musicians, and actors, certainly in good company if you choose to spend a few nights at the Schweizerhof in Lucerne. Now, the Grand Glacier Express Excellence Class holiday is certainly one again to consider if you're looking perhaps to celebrate a special occasion or to make up for lost time from last year. It's a 6-day round trip from Zurich with a starting price of £2,699. It features first class rail throughout and excellence class for the entire route of the Glacier Express from Zermatt through to St Moritz via Chur. So arriving into Zurich, you'll travel first of all to Zermatt for a 2-night stay. You'll have that day trip on the Gorna whilst you are in Zermatt, before then embarking on the Glacier Express in excellence class through to St Moritz, staying in the magnificent resort of St Moritz for 2 nights before then returning to Zurich for your return trip home. Now, before you embark on the excellence class, something to consider would be upgrading your hotel in Zermatt. This is the Riffleout Hotel, and of all the 64 rooms it has, they all have a fabulous view of the Matterhorn, which you can see out of the back window there in this suite. A beautiful location, beautiful hotel, and one to think about if you would like to make the most of those Swiss scenic views from your accommodation, as well as whilst you ride the rails. Excellence class itself here then, as you can see from the seating, incredibly comfortable, those huge panoramic windows, utmost comfort whilst you travel. You have the benefit of a concierge throughout the journey who will not only keep you very well fed and watered with wines and drinks from the Glacier bar, but also a fabulous 5-course meal. And they will also provide excellent commentary and observations as you travel along the track, pointing out some of the points of interest as you go, there to answer any questions you may have, looking after your luggage outside of the carriage with security, and a great way to spend this magnificent journey. A few more images here of the train itself, some of the scenery just visible out of the window. But yeah, this was introduced in March 2019, adding a 3rd class of service to the Glacier Express alongside standard class and first. And then St Moritz itself, a great location in the Engadin Valley. It's on the southern slopes of Pisnay, and I learnt today that it benefits from 300 days of sunshine on average a year, which sounds pretty good to me. It has 2 lakes, in fact, in St Moritz, one exclusively for swimming in summer. If you fancy a little bit of outside swimming in the lake, then that's an option in St Moritz. Lots to do up in the mountains behind as well, but equally a beautiful place to spend a couple of days lakeside, relaxing in your hotel too. The choice is yours. Next, Switzerland with a little bit of twist, and this is our Olberg Pass, Zurich, Salzburg and Vienna trip, so combining Switzerland with Austria. It's a 7-day holiday with prices starting from £1,059, and this again will take you by rail from London to Paris and Paris to Zurich on the high-speed TGV Lyria service. You'll spend a night in Zurich, or longer if you wish to extend the stay, and then you'll travel through the Swiss and Austrian Alps over the spectacular Olberg Pass to reach Salzburg. Have a 2-night stay in Salzburg before moving on to Vienna for a 3-night stay. And then the choice is yours whether to return by rail via Cologne and Brussels, or to fly home alternatively to the UK from Vienna. Now, the Olberg Pass here, again, magnificent scenery as you travel. So typically you would leave Zurich shortly after breakfast. As you depart Zurich, you will edge round the lake, and then you will be greeted with the alpine scenery. You continue on the tracks, briefly passing through Liechtenstein before entering Austria, and the Olberg Pass travels again through a real mixture of spectacular mountain scenery with the meadows, with the peaks, and then snakes its way back down to Salzburg for your 2-night stay here. Salzburg, beautifully positioned on the Salzach River, with a beautiful location, again overlooking the Alps. So much history and culture to explore in Salzburg, and of course, any Sound of Music fans out there will not be disappointed with the wide range of Sound of Music themed sightseeing excursions available here as well. Then next it's on to, of course, the larger city of Vienna. You have 3 nights and 2 full days to explore Vienna. We do include a Vienna city card in all of our Viennese trips, so that you can maximize your time exploring the monuments, attractions, sightseeing that interest you the most. But the Vienna city card really does get you into all of the major attractions along with public transport. So whether it's the Hofburg Palace, the Schönbrunn Palace, St Stephen's Cathedral, the Spanish Riding School, so many options for you to spend your time in Vienna. Equally, if you're like me though, you may also spend a good few hours enjoying the cafe culture with a slice of Sachertorte, which is not to be missed on any occasion in Vienna. Now, last but very much not leastly, I wanted to share a really spectacular trip which combines not only the most famous train in the world, the Venice Simplon Orient Express to Venice, but also the Bernina and Glacier Express here as well. And this is a 9-day holiday with prices starting from £4,929. So let me talk you through the itinerary here. You'll start in London, boarding at London Victoria Station onto the Pullman carriages. You'll travel down to the Kent coast, enjoying a cocktail and a spot of lunch as you go. You will cross the English Channel on a luxury coach to then join the carriages of the Orient Express in Calais and travel down through France, through the Alps, and through the Dolomites to reach Venice overnight, arriving in Venice late afternoon the following day for a 3-night stay, before then moving over to Milan on high-speed services to reach Tirano, to then do the Bernina Express, first of all, with a 2-night stay in St Moritz, and then travelling up to Zermatt on the Glacier Express, the full length of the journey here again. And you do have that Gorna Cog Railway day trip as well, and then travelling back to Zurich for either your return flight or your return rail trip home. So lots included in this, and lots of great excursions and experiences, but we'll talk about the Orient Express predominantly here. So obviously, as I say, probably the most famous train in the world, a true icon of rail travel, and a beautiful way to travel through the scenery of France, the Alps, and into Italy. So when you board your twin cabin, as it is here in Calais, it will be arranged like this, and the twin cabin is what our pricing is based on. So you'll have this comfortable banquette seating here for your afternoon of relaxation. You'll be shown to your cabin by your own steward, who will look after you throughout the journey. And you'll have, as I say, a little bit of quiet time, a few hours to yourself here before the evening entertainment commences. Of course, there are a number of different accommodation types on board the Orient Express, including the Grand Suite. So if you would like to discuss possible upgrade opportunities on the Orient Express, then by all means do let us know. The Grand Suite here features a full-size double bed, full ensuite facilities, bottomless champagne as well. So lots of perks of choosing to travel with the Grand Suite if you are looking to make a truly spectacular journey even more special. So once you've dressed for the evening, you will move perhaps to the lounge car for some pre-dinner cocktails, an aperitif or two. Really the social hub of the train, this, where you gather either for afternoon tea, for pre-dinner drinks, or indeed the nightcap afterwards. There's often the piano playing in the background too, with that first class service from all of the staff on board, taking care of everything you could possibly need. You do also then move to the dining carriages for your 4-course evening meal. Now, the class of standard of food on board is really first class, given the constraints that they are cooking in terms of the galley kitchen. It is spectacular cuisine, very French focused, with a lot of regional and seasonal produce. Breton lobster, for example, quite frequently served. And your steward can, if you wish, put you in one of the dining cars for your evening meal and a different dining car for your lunch the following day, so you can experience the different decor, the different ambience of the dining carriages on board. And then after your meal, and perhaps after you've had a nightcap in the bar, you will come back to your cabin, which your steward will have transformed into the upper and lower berth that you see here, ready for your night's rest. And then the following morning, you'll be served breakfast in your private cabin in privacy, and then you'll move for lunch in the dining car, so you're certainly not going to go hungry on this trip. And we do also squeeze in afternoon tea here just ahead of crossing the Venetian lagoon to reach Venice late afternoon, early evening. Now, whilst you're in Venice, we do include walking tours and sightseeing tours of the Doge's Palace, of the Golden Basilica, but something else that you could consider adding, and we do have lots of different options in Venice, is this. And this is a behind the scenes visit to one of the gondola boatyards, and to meet a traditional boat making family in the heart of Venice, really to understand the practice, the traditions, and how these are made, and to meet the locals, really. So a great way to experience Venice in a different way, and to understand the heritage and the history of the iconic gondola here. So do ask us for additional sorts of tours like this, if you'd like a private tour of just you and your traveling companions, if you'd like perhaps a secret food tour. There are lots of different themes that we can add in to make the holiday really suit your interests and what you'd like to discover in those locations. So I hope you found that insight into our Swiss trips helpful, interesting. Hope it's given you a little bit of escapism this Tuesday early evening. If you would like any more information, there is a lot available on our website at railbookers.co.uk. You'll find a page on each of the holidays that I've mentioned today, with the accommodation, with the route map, with the itineraries day by day, and that pricing through to 2023. But I'd also say we are very much open Monday to Friday at 9 to 5:30. So if you do have any questions, or you'd like any more information, please do just give us a call, and we'd be very happy to help. One thing I wanted to mention just before I open it to your questions is that later this week you will be able to download our latest e-brochures, our worldwide holidays, our luxury rail journeys, our UK holidays, and our cruise extensions holiday brochure. That one really, if you have perhaps already booked a river or ocean cruise and would like to extend your stay or to reach the port by rail, then some ideas in there for you. But all of those will be available on our website later this week, so do keep an eye out for those and download them to have a look through. So at this point, I'd like to just have a look through the questions that have come in so far and see if I can answer, hopefully, most of them. I can see a few hotel related, a few deposit related, a few assistance related. So yeah, let me just take those one by one. So firstly, in terms of assistance, yes, we can offer assistance at the train stations and to board and disembark the trains. We work very closely with the train companies to organise that, whatever the assistance may be that you need. We can also arrange transfers, private transfers from the stations to your hotels as well, if that helps. So please do let us know of your exact requirements, and yes, we can certainly make those arrangements for you. I can also see a question or two about hotel accommodation, so let me take that as well. So usually most of our destinations come with 3, 4 and 5-star rated hotels. We can make any number of adjustments to that. If you'd like to vary the accommodation throughout the holiday, then it doesn't have to be 3, 4 or 5-star all the way. We can make those adjustments as you travel. And we have a range of properties, not only in terms of budget, but also in terms of style, decor, location, so that we really can choose a hotel that suits the sort of style you're used to staying at and is what you are looking for. And just a couple of questions on payment. So thanks for those. We do take a deposit If you're booking more than 3 months before travel, it's typically £250 per person. We would then take the balance payment at 90 days before travel. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you then would receive your travel documentations somewhere between 10 and 14 days prior to travel with your detailed itinerary of all of the information that you need. I also see a great question: which month would I recommend for travel in Switzerland? That's a great question, and I would say it depends what you're looking to see. So for me, one of the greatest times to visit Switzerland is probably May, or September, October, because in May, well, both times you're still going to have snow on the peaks, but you're also in May and June going to have the alpine meadow in flower, which is a great contrast as you travel. Equally, and I have done the Glacier Express in February, it's beautiful to see it all in snow. And in fact, I was in Wengen for Easter a couple of years ago, and we had a significant amount of snowfall, and it's also great to be there when you have that as well. So it really depends what you're looking to see. I think there's something for everybody at every time of year, but for me, it would probably be May or September as my top picks. But it's really when you want to go. We can make it fit around any departure date. Great question. Thank you for that. So all that remains for me to say is thanks very much for joining me. It's been great to have your company this afternoon. I hope, as I say, it's given you a little bit of Swiss escapism and something to consider for a holiday perhaps later this year or certainly 2022. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you again on another one of these Railbookers presentations very soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.